Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar for the Retail Sustainability Collaborative. This is Wayne Bennett with ECRM and RangeMe, and I'm happy to host today's presentation. I see that people are joining us. There are a number that have registered today, so I am just going to give a few more moments to get situated here before we make our formal introduction and open it up for our guest speakers. So if we could just maybe give this another 20, 25 seconds to try to get some critical mass, that would be great. I know our speakers have got a terrific presentation set up, and we are hearing from a major key retailer in our industry today. So get ready and buckle in. We're in for a real good presentation. So let's give this just another few moments here, and we will begin. Okay, so people will come in. So again, welcome everyone. Good afternoon. 2 o'clock here in the East Coast, 1 o'clock in Austin, Texas. And again, my name is Wayne Bennett with ECRM and RangeMe. I have the privilege and honor today to moderate and bring this conversation together with the group from Whole Foods. And before I introduce our speakers, I would like to make mention that this is an ongoing series of retail leaders, own brand leaders, sustainability leaders who are bringing forward information and content about their sustainability journey. There are several additional speakers lined up throughout the coming weeks. And again, culminating for the June 2022, Sustainability Week program, where we will be bringing merchants and suppliers together for the sole topic of discussing the sustainability assortment opportunity. And we're happy that Whole Foods will be participating in that as well. Interestingly enough, the Retail Industry Leaders Association came out with a blueprint, climate action blueprint, not too long ago. And it was very interesting to note in that book, it talked about how retailers who sit on the top end of the global supply chain are really at the forefront of leading the conversation as it relates to the sustainability journey. And clearly, Whole Foods Market is leading in that discussion. Just today, as a matter of fact, Numerator, a research company, Numerator, did come out with some fantastic information about the eco-focused consumer. And in that report, I'm happy to report that Whole Foods, under the grocery category, did index the highest amongst all retailers reported, versus the index highest between eco-driven consumers and those mainstream shoppers. So clearly they're doing something right in terms of capturing that eco shopper shopping trip. So let's get into this. So today we've got two speakers from Whole Foods. First, I'd like to introduce Tom Hermes. And Tom is the Vice President of Own Brand. He is a graduate of the Iowa Tippie College of Business with majors in finance and organizational management. He has an MBA from DePaul University with a concentration in applied economics and strategy, execution, and valuation. And he is also has an emphasis because of his JD on corporate transactional law. So very impressive background there. And again, he has spent his entire professional career in sourcing for private brands in the grocery sector, with 17 years at Topco, where he was the vice president of Center Store, and currently leads sourcing and product development for Whole Foods Market. So very well equipped. And Tom, like myself, an economics major. It's always good to be in presence of economics majors. Tom and his wife of 12 years, Nicole, have two beautiful daughters, age 4 and 3. They live in Austin, Texas, and enjoy the outdoors. And who wouldn't in Austin enjoy the outdoors, where they hike, bike, kayak, and marvel in the beauty of the earth. So Tom Hermes, thank you for being here. His colleague and associate is Thomas Crookham, who is the Director of Sustainability, Private Label, CPG Sourcing, and Product Management, and key to the conversation today as part of me working together with him on this. And Tom loves natural CPG and retail. I know we collaborate quite often, and brings 15 years experience in the space from distribution, category management, and new store development, merchandising operations, and private label. He has been with Whole Foods for 12 years, and prior to that, spent a number of years with Tree of Life. And another smart guy is a graduate of Cornell University. And like Tom, has 2 kids, and oftentimes I am Zoom calls with his dog. So Tom, glad that you are here. And Thomas, thank you for being here. I will leave the screen and just want everyone to know that, please, these are the experts within a leading retailer on a whole host of things, and clearly today's conversation in the world and topic of sustainability. So please, questions will be available and answers will be provided. So thank you, gentlemen. The floor is yours.
All right. Well, good afternoon. Really excited to be here talking about creating sustainable products. And of course, at the heart of our mission and purpose at Whole Foods Market is the work we do to source the very best products in a manner which is a win for our shoppers, a win for the planet, and a win for our stakeholders. And every member of our team must be called by our mission and pull energy from the opportunity to affect real change in the world through this work. Our sourcing and product development team has a unique opportunity to raise the bar with quality standards, with sustainability, animal welfare, regenerative agriculture, and other critically important aspects of our sourcing role, while also playing a role in increasing accessibility to the incredible products and quality which our brands represent. So we're going to start today by discussing why it's so important to focus on sustainable products. Next, we'll review what we mean by sustainable products, and finally, how together we can win through innovation in this area.
So why should we create sustainable products? This is the Sustainability Collaborative after all, so we know we're all interested in developing sustainable products. However, we still thought it might be beneficial to pause and reflect for a few minutes to talk about why, in fact, we should be focusing on sustainable products in the first place. Of course, the grounding principle is that it's simply the right thing to do. And we'll talk more about how the right thing to do is baked into the Whole Foods Market mission and core values in a bit. But it's not just us at Whole Foods Market and us in this virtual room who believe it's the right thing. Sustainability is gaining a voice at the point of purchase. And while customers often prioritize their personal benefits and convenience, they do increasingly see sustainable products as aligning with their values and giving them additional reasons to believe in a company or in a brand. More and more, environmental and social well-being concerns are part of the equation when consumers choose where to shop for groceries. In fact, according to Hartman, 9 out of 10 consumers consider at least one environmental or social well-being issue when they're choosing foods and beverages, but no one single issue dominates their thought process. As customers understand more, they're willing to purchase more sustainable products. About a third of customers, and more among millennials and Gen Z, see their purchase decisions as a more powerful way to affect change even than voting or community engagement. In short, this is the future. The importance of sustainability considerations in consumer purchase decisions has been growing steadily over the years, and now is the time to act. Further, today's customers expect companies to take action on sustainability, and even to proactively go beyond doing no harm to affect net positive change. We'll get more into what sustainable means in a minute, but highlighted here are a few concerns that are at the forefront of customers' attention, namely single-use plastic and the welfare of farmers and producers. Customers want the connection to farmers and producers, and they also want to know that farmers and producers are taken care of. And they want to know that the product is not creating harm at the end of its life. And that consideration is most commonly resonated as a concern for the use of single-use plastic. Consumers are closely following news of environmental catastrophes around the world and in their own backyards, making the threat of climate change more and more acute each year. Record-breaking high temperatures and fire seasons year after year make the impacts and potential for future challenges difficult to ignore or deny. As consumers experience these events directly or know people who do, they will increasingly connect them to choices in their own lives. That makes it important to have a robust offering of sustainable products for our customers. We're also in the middle of a complex regulatory environment. The SEC just proposed rules regarding climate-related disclosures. There are recycling bills in Washington, New Jersey, California, etc. Let's get ahead of these regulations and start developing sustainable products now. By moving quickly now, we can both do the right thing and help to influence the standards across the industry and across the country. We have an opportunity to differentiate now by creating sustainable products, but soon we'll be in a place where it's table stakes because our customers will demand it and regulations will demand it. So let's act now, let's do the right thing, and it's the right long-term business decision.
So let's talk about what we mean when we say the word sustainable. This is a complicated word, and it means different things to different people. And there's a lot of passion for this subject, so believe me, we could debate the definition endlessly. But let's start by declaring that we cannot and we should not go backwards on things like food safety or taste or efficacy for non-food products. These products need to perform to our customers' expectations. So what does it mean to create sustainable products that perform? Well, number one, it needs to be customer-centric. End user experience has to drive our thought process. The product should be a win-win for all stakeholders, all the way from the soil to the employees. It's our commitment to source products responsibly. For products that are derived from animal ingredients, the welfare of those animals is important. Dr. Temple Grandin taught us animal welfare is not just the humane thing to do, it's also good business practice, and it leads to better quality. It considers the environmental impact of the item from the beginning to the end of life, inclusive of the many input and output factors associated. Each carries with some impact on the environment, and we must take a broad view of these impacts when designing our products. Packaging is an asset. It's not an expense. It's so much more than simply a container to house the product within. It's part of the message and promise to the customer. It's part of the performance of that product. We should think about packaging as an investment and not as an expense that we need to manage. And last but not least, they must consider people. How do these products affect the people who help partner in creating it? With all those factors in mind, then we thought we'd look at the question through the standpoint of the consumer and the Whole Foods market mission. Consumers articulate concerns about a range of environmental and social issues, many of which intersect. On the environmental side, we have things like packaging with issues like recyclability, and there's tremendous awareness for consumers to the issues connected with single-use plastic, as Thomas mentioned. We have the controversial topic of climate change, but it is clear that consumers are looking to companies, not just governments, to help drive the changes needed to address pollution and its many impacts on our natural world. Agriculture has seen increased amounts of awareness from consumers on the practices used, seeking a cleaner and more natural method that can unwind some of the reliance on chemical pesticides. On the social side, there's a greater dependency on agriculture and manufacturing, especially in the areas of greatest economic vulnerability across our planet. That makes worker welfare an issue of importance and how we can take each step to protect those with perhaps the least leverage, but upon whom we rely so greatly to be able to feed the world. Consumers care about these issues, and we can make progress on their behalf through conscious awareness of the opportunity afforded to us to be the change that we seek in the world. Consumers want companies to align their internal practices to their sustainability values. We must walk the talk. When we ask our customers, packaging is clearly an area that they want to see action. 86% want to see more companies lead in developing more sustainable solutions here. We know that people matter and they need to be an area of focus. What can we do to affect this? Diversity, equity, and inclusion programs certainly help. We need to be vigilant for those who are vulnerable in the supply chain and make it our priority to ensure that the programs are truly a win-win for all. And pollution is in many ways attributable to the economic progress of our world. The Industrial Revolution was incredible at providing efficiency, and it's contributed in so many ways to improving the quality of life for so many across the world. Yet the expense to our planet is clear and balance is needed. We must be a force to repair the pollutive effects of progress, and customers are willing to back us on that journey by voting with their dollars.
That's a lot of great thought around what it means to create sustainable products. So what does it mean to create sustainable products at Whole Foods Market? It's best to start with a little bit about how Whole Foods Market operates overall. Our purpose is to nourish people on the planet. We are a purpose-driven company that aims to set the standards of excellence for food retailers. Quality is a state of mind at Whole Foods, and that state of mind is enshrined in the structure of our company and the way we operate. To support our purpose, we continue to work toward our North Star vision on the merchandising team, which is we challenge our teams to set the bar and to advance the way products are raised, grown, and produced. We think of Whole Foods Market as a canvas for our suppliers, our team members, and customers to change the world. Wow, change the world. At Whole Foods Market, we've been pioneers in establishing industry-leading standards. Also, we've always been anchored in core values, and we leverage these to guide our decisions around defining assortment and cultivating supplier relationships. We practice conscious capitalism, and we believe in shared fate. We think about our stakeholders broadly, and we seek to create win-win-win partnerships. Our stakeholders are suppliers, team members, customers, the communities we operate in, and even the environment. That philosophy and this purpose to nourish people on the planet really does permeate all that we do, including how we conceive of, create, and bring products to market. Under the umbrella of our overall purpose, our core values further define how we live the mission to nourish people on the planet. As we chat today, we hope to bring to life how these core values support creating sustainable products. It really starts with creating the highest quality natural and organic products that will delight our customers. If a product isn't something that a customer wants and wants to continue to purchase, it doesn't matter how many attributes that product has. The system itself isn't sustainable if the product doesn't sell. And if we're not creating prosperity along the supply chain, we're also not setting up a system that is sustainable in the long term. You may not see how team member growth and happiness relates to you as a supplier, but it does. In my 12 years at Whole Foods Market, I've met some of the most passionate individuals you'll ever meet in this industry. People who truly live these core values and truly do want to nourish people on the planet. Our team members are the happiest when they are growing their passion for selling the highest quality, natural, and organic products. When they are leaning into the mission and working with suppliers who also support that mission. In the context of this presentation, I think caring about community and the environment needs no further introduction or discussion. And we also already mentioned satisfying and delighting our customers. As for win-win partnerships, we talked about that too, and it's part of the reason why we're here today. We want suppliers who believe in these core values, who want to collaborate with us and want to create win-win partnerships. Now, over the next few slides, we're going to highlight a few of the things we're doing to make these core values come to life. Certainly not an exhaustive list, but just some highlights to help illustrate what we think of when we think of sustainable products.
So among actions that companies should take to help address important issues, consumers point first to those that are most visible to them. Packaging and employment are right at the top of that list. And so focusing in on packaging first. What's most pertinent for you is our focus on waste reduction and diversion, improved packaging guidelines and standards, and a commitment to better understanding and measuring the impact that the products we sell have on the planet. The Whole Foods Market sustainability team is working to develop guidance preferences around climate claims on pack and that we see climate impact as a key part of sustainable products. Our sustainability team is also working on guidance for packaging. We want to make sure you and your teams have what you need to make doing the right thing easier, including clear guidelines and standards when it comes to packaging. And we'll work together to build diversion programs that are both environmentally impactful and cost-effective. Together, we will create a shared vision for our whole story regarding packaging, one that is aligned around reducing packaging in the first place, keeping what packaging we do have out of landfills, and into more widely accessible diversion programs for our customers. We will begin the process of measuring our carbon footprint, not only at the store level, but also all the way back through every product we sell. This is going to take years, but it's important work, and we're investing in that now. We believe there's a better way to raise and grow food, one that supports and nourishes the planet. And we want to measure, improve, and share that with our customers more effectively. And finally, we're investing in building out this team of subject matter experts so that we have the talent on hand to drive the progress we need. We're on a never-ending journey to learn more and to raise the bar for the industry. And we're working diligently behind the scenes and work closely with suppliers and growers to ensure good working conditions for workers. For example, we require third-party social accountability audits for high-risk areas of the world. And we're proud to support progress here through our work on diversity, equity, and inclusion with our supplier community. One way we support advancement of our social impact is through the work of certifications like Fair Trade. For example, all 365 by Whole Foods Market packaged coffee and tea products are certified to meet one of the following third-party standards: Rainforest Alliance, Fair Trade USA, or Fair Trade International. 100% of our chocolate bars, chocolate chips, and baking chocolate products sold under 365 by Whole Foods Market brand are Fair Trade certified. All of our 365 by Whole Foods Market brand food items containing palm oil, palm kernel oil, palm fruit oil, and palm shortening are produced using sustainable oil sources. So introducing Source for Good. Building on this theme of responsible sourced ingredients, we're delighted to relaunch our exclusive social premium product certification that supports workers, communities, and the environment. You may know it formerly as Whole Trade Guarantee. We rebranded this program as Source for Good and rolled out a new visual identity. As a result of our rebranding effort, we significantly moved the needle on customer awareness and purchase intent, and also created the impetus to extend the program into new categories and items, including domestically sourced product. Every year, through Whole Trade Guarantee, now Source for Good, we're able to give millions and millions of dollars directly to worker cooperatives and empower the workers to direct the specific use of funds on things that matter to their families and communities the most. Things like education, healthcare, and infrastructure. At the moment, we do not have items in our private brand assortment which carry this designation. That's something we intend to change. at such a powerful video. It fills me with inspiration for the potential that we have to make a difference together. Another example of making a difference, years ago, we saw a need to take action to get in front of non-GMO products. We're proud to say that we made a significant impact in helping to drive as a force for change within the industry. The Whole Foods Market, in addition to suppliers complying with USDA standards for bioengineered foods, we require that all non-GMO label claims be third-party verified or certified. And we use our exclusive brands portfolio to lead the charge. We've been in a state of compliance with our brands for a few years already.
By the way, I see that there's chats coming in, but our system doesn't allow us to share and see that. So we'll cover off all the questions at the end in Q&A. So in the next few minutes, we're going to talk a little bit about our animal welfare standards. So I lead the team that works on our 365 and Whole Foods Market brand meat and seafood products. So I'm really excited to touch on these topics. Starting a little bit about seafood. I can't think of any retailer who goes farther than we do to protect the health of our oceans. What makes our seafood different? All the seafood in our department is responsibly farmed or sustainable wild caught. It includes frozen and breaded options, appetizers, smoked seafood, and seafood dips. If it doesn't meet our standards, we don't sell it. We don't sell cloned or genetically modified seafood, and we prohibit over 100 food ingredients, including certain preservatives like sodium bisulfate. Our seafood is traceable farm to fish to farm or fishery, and we work hard to source it only from responsibly managed farms and abundant, well-managed wild fisheries. Year after year, we're recognized by Greenpeace for our rigorous seafood sustainability practices. In 2010, we began collaborating with the nonprofit Monterey Bay Aquarium to provide color-coded sustainability ratings for any wild-caught seafood we offer that is not certified by MSC or the Marine Stewardship Council. With the Monterey Bay Aquarium ratings, green means it's abundant and it's a well-managed fishery. It's environmentally friendly catch method. Yellow indicates some concerns with abundance, catch method, or fishery. In red, we just don't sell it. It's overfished, poorly managed, or it's got a harmful catch method. So with a dwindling supply of wild seafood in our oceans, farm-raised seafood is playing a more important role than ever. When it's done right, farmed seafood provides a reliable year-round source of high-quality seafood that you can trust. Our standards require traceability to the farm and are based on the best aquaculture science, consultation with top experts, and environmental organizations, and visits to the farms worldwide. This video brings to life this amazing program. Now on to meat. What makes our meat different? Our meat has no antibiotics ever. We have no added growth hormones through feed, injections, implants, or any other method. We have over 100 animal welfare standards for fresh beef, pork, lamb, chicken, and turkey. We also work with the Global Animal Partnership to certify our meat products. We use GAP-rated chicken in our 365 and Whole Food Market brand products, and we're working towards GAP-rated raw material for all other species. The GAP program has standards for the entire life cycle. It ensures that animals have space, a safe, enriched environment, and they have access to the outdoors in step 3 and above. And also, perhaps most importantly, they require third-party certification and inspection at every location every 15 months. With our GAP-rated raw materials, we take great pains to segregate and verify them throughout the entire supply chain, from the farms and ranches through the slaughter facilities and on to the further processors. In a similar vein, we have very high egg standards for shell eggs in 365 and Whole Foods Market brands. As a sub-ingredient, we're also working to get cage-free plus for both our exclusive brands. Here's a look at these standards. Another topic that we're really excited about is regenerative agriculture. Regenerative agriculture has enormous potential to transform our world. While there are a variety of definitions for regenerative agriculture, at Whole Foods Market, we say that it describes holistic farming and grazing management practices that improve soil, enhance biodiversity, and increase carbon capture. That soil health is a really important part of regenerative agriculture. And as we fight greenhouse gas emissions and seek to curb climate change, carbon capture is paramount. I encourage everyone to watch the documentary Kiss the Ground if you haven't seen it already. It's a good primer on the subject, and Woody Harrelson is pretty entertaining. At Whole Foods Market, we're committed to supporting and elevating regenerative agriculture and the farmers and ranchers who focus on soil health, while helping to maintain the integrity of the term regenerative in the industry and for consumers. We don't want that term to be greenwashed. Knowing that the movement is bursting with both enthusiasm and unknowns, our approach is bound to evolve, but we're starting by focusing in 3 areas. First, supporting suppliers. In addition to encouraging suppliers in their efforts and working with them on label claims, we launched a regenerative agriculture supplier education portal to provide information and resources to suppliers. We're having ongoing discussions with suppliers, producers, industry experts, and certifiers. And finally, to avoid greenwashing, our quality standards team is reviewing labels for all products making a regenerative claim on packaging before they hit our shelves. The label review process evaluates any messaging, seal, or logo on pack that includes the words regenerative, regenerating, regenerate, etc. We do this to ensure that products making a regenerative ag claim authentically represent regenerative agriculture, and our assessment is based on soil health principles. On exclusive brands products, we're seeking ROC or regenerative organic certification status for any product making a regenerative claim. This is just a quick graphic from Hartman that illustrates that our customers are in tune with soil health and associate it with sustainable products. We're going to wrap up this topic with a short video.
All right, now we're thrilled to talk about a few examples of sustainable products in real life. So we spoke about our mission earlier and how it's at the core of what we do. So we could really go on and on all day long about many of the items in our portfolio. But we're just going to stick to a couple of the highlights to help drill the point in. So first, take a look at our line of gluten-free baking mixes made from Okara flour. This product represents one of our very first forays into upcycling, and we'll see this on shelf later this year. Okara flour is made from dried and milled okara, which is a byproduct of soy milk production. What better way to avoid contributing to the waste stream than by finding a delicious and nutritious application of this into our products? So excited about that. Building on the theme of animal welfare, we're incredibly proud to lead the industry with our sustainable tuna program. This is an example where we were able to partner with a company who can use traditional techniques such as pull and line fishing to help dramatically improve quality and the sustainability of our practices. This is the best option to ensure that you're not accidentally bringing in bycatch where other marine animals like dolphins, sea turtles, other animals are caught unintentionally and are typically killed in the process. And also, it does it in a way which prevents overfishing and allows equilibrium with nature. This technique also brings significant enhancements in product traceability by connecting the finished product back to its original source from boat to shelf. Check out our organic steeped coffee line. This product hits on so many levels. These coffees meet several aspects of the call to action for sustainable innovation. Number one, it's great coffee. It provides an enhanced user experience by offering portability by eliminating the requirement of a brewing system. Literally, you just need water and a cup, and it doesn't even need to be hot water. And the packaging is BPI certified compostable. The coffee's fair trade certified, and it's incredible all around. We've got continuing on the theme of responsible sourcing. We're incredibly proud to show you Regenerative Organic Certified that Thomas just spoke about. I'm going to hand back off to Thomas to talk.
Yes, so we're excited about packaging. It's one of my personal passions as well. And they're among the sustainability concerns that consumers relate to the most in their daily lives. So we're very proud to announce some recent launches in our stores, and some are still rolling out. We're transitioning our water program to recycled content plastic bottles and introducing an infinitely recyclable aluminum water bottle. So our 365 spring water program is going to be 50% rPET starting now in NorCal, Pacific Northwest, and SOPAC, and we'll look for the Eastern regions early in 2023. We have 50% rPET on our Whole Foods Market Italian sparkling mineral water. We have 100% rPET or recycled PET on our 365 alkaline and electrolyte water nationally. And then we just launched the 365 enhanced mineral water nationally in an aluminum bottle. We love this example because sometimes being sustainable doesn't mean implementing some earth-shattering total system change. Small changes can add up. This particular change was also cost neutral. Our largest salad supplier used 100% PCR PET salad clamshells, which is great. They're recycled in many municipalities. However, they had paper labels, which reduces their recyclability and it contaminates the stream. During our rebrand of 365, we noticed this and we transitioned to new labels with recyclable polyethylene structure, improving the recyclability on over 250,000 packages per week. We also, by the way, love it when our suppliers bring this kind of suggestion to us. We can't catch everything. And if we send you a spec and you think we can do something even better, let us know. Creating a sustainable food system will take all of us, and we want the input of our suppliers.
So how are we going to win with sustainable products? In short, we need you to be the kind of supplier who wants to partner to create the examples that we discussed. And we will provide the forum to showcase your capabilities on our shelves and with our brands. But we want to take a moment and reiterate that we still need to meet the basics of retail execution. we must have the right products at the right price. They must be convenient and efficacious, or it won't matter that they're sustainable. How can we win with sustainable products? It helps that there's a double bottom line. We don't have to just focus on the financial outcome. There's contribution to the welfare of our planet that I think is also an extra benefit. We're going to win when we have robust long-term sourcing relationships. We need innovation. We need solutions that are turnkey. That means certifications, documentation, and we need scrutinizing formulas that already meet our standards before they've been presented. And we've got to move forward. Progress should not rely on perfection. Little changes are going to add up and make a big difference. So do your homework, vet ahead, and please make claims carefully. Don't be liberal here. Use FTC Green Guides as a resource for best practices in making sustainability related claims. Speaking of certifications, we believe strongly in connecting our messaging on packaging back to a certifying body for consistency and clarity of message to consumers and to avoid greenwashing potential. Quick note on this slide, upcycled, we're still working on a certifier. That's currently TBD, but the balance is a sampling of the certifications we've selected to support our consumer messaging on our mission. Consumers look to third-party certification to understand a product's attributes and to establish trust. We need the assurance of these certifiers to validate and substantiate product claims and to help keep messaging to consumers simple. So again, we love when we work with suppliers who've done their homework and who can bring these types of certifications to the table on day one. In the same vein, we also love suppliers who come with innovation in mind. Of course, that means unique formulas and flavors, but innovation and sustainable ingredient sourcing, sustainable packaging technology, and others are totally on our roadmap. The best ideas may very well not be on our roadmap right now, but we want you to know that we're open to exploring and we welcome your thought leadership in this area. Ultimately, it comes down to people and relationships. Tackling the sustainability challenges of our day takes commitment and it takes dedication. We need to work with suppliers that will invest in the long term, strategic relationships with us to provide these cutting edge products at the best value. We hope this presentation will help stimulate some interest for your organization to invest in these important subject areas. I'm hopeful that we can find some areas of mutual opportunity to pursue together. And I sincerely look forward to collaborating with you on this critical subject. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Well, Tom and Thomas, I want to thank you for an outstanding, purposeful, meaningful, and very thoughtful presentation on sustainability and regenerative activity, and obviously your leadership in the conversation in the industry, retail and consumer products industry that you serve. I'm very inspired by the conversation. The videos were terrific. And, obviously for all you have done and all that you're doing, we appreciate, the contributions you're making in the conversation, and of course, sharing some of the things you have coming on the horizon, which is really very purposeful and meaningful. I know there's some questions, and once we get to the questions, I know there'll be more questions. Before we do that, I do want to just take a quick moment and just thank some of the partners where we have in working through this platform. And I did want to call out the Sustainable Coalition. I'd like to call out Novi Connect, Vranda, and we also working with Fair Trade USA as partners in this activity. So thank you for that. And so I know I've got some questions, but this is really for the audience. So let me start with the chat. So Tom, there's a question here that I'm going to ask you because you are the resident economist. And so the question comes from a participant. We are a farm business producing hundreds of pounds of microgreens monthly. If 34% of consumers want to support farmers, what does income level and economic variability play in this focus?
All right, well, let me process that question. I think I'm not, want to make sure I'm answering it the right question here, but I think part of what we described in the presentation was the interest of making this product accessible. We're not looking to be a niche, accessible, elitist product grouping. We want to be approachable, accessible. And so the more we can scale up, the more impact we can make. And so, we don't, we want to lead that with Whole Foods, but we also want to see the industry also broadly kind of take up the torch. So, we're looking at, kind of any and all avenues. We mentioned the theme of progress over perfection, right? Like we don't need to figure out the correct solution for the end state. We know where we need to go, and we need to just make steps of progress along the way to get there.
Yep. Okay, great.
And,
And I
10
think-
years ago, I would
Good
say
time.
10 years, 12 years ago when I started at Whole Foods, this message wasn't out there. So as customers continue to learn more about sustainable products, we'll create a virtuous cycle because we'll want more products, and then we'll be able to get the economies of scales and bring the price down, and it'll continue to grow.
Yep. And Thomas, to that point, that's one of the reasons I think we talked earlier why ECRM is working with so many different retailers, right? Not as competitors, right, but as co-joint collaborators to make it all better, to lower the cost, to drive the innovation, to understand. And Thomas, you said it perfectly, table stakes. I call it the new currencies, right? And these are the new currencies of doing business in retail. And that's why we are working with you and others to drive this conversation forward. So yes. Tom, maybe Thomas, I think this is another good economic question, but how does Whole Foods Market balance inflationary supply chain pressures with cost of goods sold premiums for sustainable regenerative source products with company purpose and consumer core values driving demand for these products? It is more costly.
For sure. And we acknowledge that. I think we stated in the presentation, and we're fully aware that what we're talking about is an investment. And we believe that consumers will support us down this journey. But going back to the progress over perfection theme here, we could probably create the most incredible version of a product that hits on every single level. And it will probably be unaffordable and unattainable, and we will have no scale in it. And so we've got to meet consumers a bit more where they're at and help them make steps of progress forward. And so there does need to be a reality check that we need to infuse in this process of like, how much progress can we make? If we're making progress, then we're doing the right things. And we can take a step at a time. We don't need to skip to, the end state. And, so think about what price points we're trying to hit to, what's the architecture of the category that we're playing in, and what can we afford to bring forward? And if that works, then great. Then let's take a progressive next step and keep building versus getting too far in front of it.
Yeah, that's a very good framework. Thank you for that.
There's been examples where sometimes our systems actually end up saving us money. For example, one of our seafood farms, because of the rigorous management and oversight, got wind of another farm nearby that wasn't sustainably managed, that had an issue with some infestation or something like that. And because of the systems in place, that our farm was able to harvest early, save that batch or that harvest, maybe a little bit smaller than it would have otherwise been if it had grown out a few more weeks. But we maintained our continuity of supply, and they didn't lose money. So, this sustainable systems they're sustainable, right? They're for the long term, and hopefully it'll harden the system against risk in the future.
Great, thank you. Another question. I think this is really a very timely question. I think it gets to the core of Scope 3 carbon emissions, which I know is a topic of conversation, which really is not even like we're like in the top of the first inning on that one. But here's a question: do you consider carbon pollution impacts from fossil fuels by agricultural equipment, material handling fleet, and/or transportation as part of your evaluations for establishing partnerships? And I would imagine that is Scope 3. And so what is your viewpoint on that?
Can we take that?
Yeah.
I think, as we mentioned, the sustainability and quality standards team is really at the beginning of establishing what our standards are for scope 3 emissions. So we're still in process on that, but ultimately we like to look at the entire life cycle of a product. And that's also one of the reasons why we're focused so heavily on regenerative agriculture, because of its ability to sequester carbon.
Mhm. And I guess for the participant who asked that question, I guess if they have any insights, thought leadership, ideas, suggestions, data to support, that's a good thing to maybe bring forward to have a conversation.
Yeah, I would absolutely welcome that. And the more information we can receive versus having to like tabulate ourselves, that just helps the
Yeah.
process. So we'd love to plug into efforts you all have afoot. And I think all of it is welcome territory for us to explore together.
Yep. Another good question. I think this is on the merchandising side. Early in the presentation, you spoke about consumption increasing once your customers understand the sustainability messages claims. What are the most effective ways to educate a Whole Foods customer? Is it POS, social media, website? How do you collaborate together to get these core messages out to the marketplace?
Yeah, well, in transparency, we're still figuring that out, right? Like we've got programs in place. We think we're pretty good at it, but we think we can be better too. So getting the message out about standards on quality, we know is a harder message for consumers to follow than something like this product tastes great. And so that's part of why I mentioned the check that we need around performance and user experience. And it needs to be bundled together. It can't just be a story about sustainability. It's got to be a comprehensive story. But we're looking to do more storytelling, education, and I think there is some variability by product type and category. And where we can, we're trying to tap into broader themes. We talked about certifying agencies being a key part of our play, and part of the reason for that is it helps us provide a more broad-based messaging that will stretch across store instead of having to tell a story about coffee. If we could tell a story about coffee that ladders up into a broad Whole Foods story, we think that messaging becomes more impactful and consumers trust it a bit more.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tom. Question here from the audience, and I found it to be interesting that you mentioned an upcycled product. And so the question is here, how do you balance innovation of sustainable products with availability of certification? In other words, sometimes a certification program does not yet exist, but a product can demonstrate evidence of impact like low GHG emissions or supporting biodiversity.
Yeah, well, I think Thomas has got an ad here, but I'll start by saying we've not been afraid to help lead the pack, right? Like, we talked about Source for Good and Whole Trade Guarantee, and these are programs that we felt were there was a gap that needed to be filled, and so we created our own standard. And so, if we see something that has an impact and a potential, and the certifier is not there, we're totally game. Bring it to us. We'll help you find a certification.
Yep.
We'll help create a certification. Like we have experience doing that, and we don't need to sit and wait for someone else to solve it for us.
Absolutely. And our quality standards team is very talented. And so if you have a claim that you'd like to make and there's no certification available, bring us the substantiation and we'll evaluate it and see if that's something that we can support, even if there's no certification available.
Great, thank you. I think there is the answer to the question. You have a separate plan certification, but is Source for Good just agriculture? Can a seafood product be part of Source for Good? I think you have a separate plan for the seafood.
Yeah, I'll need to get back to you on that. Right now we're focusing on agriculture for that.
Okay. Here's a good question to maybe conclude with. But I think the general question is, how do suppliers get in front of whole food market buyers? What's the
Hmm.
best approach? How do we get the time? How do we get the attention? You guys are running 1,000,000 miles a minute. I get it. I'm a small supplier. How do I do it? How do I break through? How do I get the time, the attention? I know it's hard, but what can you share?
Yeah, well, I'll say, we're reaching out because we seek to connect more closely with the industry. We're building up our team to support just that. And so, reaching out, you can, obviously platforms like ECRM exist and we're active. Trade shows are out there, but, more than that, I mean, we're on LinkedIn, we're available, we're open for connection. We don't need to follow some, crazy vetting process or funnel to get in front. And we're trying to put ourselves more out there so that you have access to us in increasing amounts. So if you're trying to get a hold of us and you don't know how, hopefully Wayne, you can help us with that with this group. But we're very much looking to deepen the connections with our existing suppliers and recruit in and nurture and build up an expanded supplier relationship base.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Tom. And again, not to give a shameless plug here, but I do know, again, Thomas, you do have several of your team members, Tom, attending this June sustainability program. So clearly putting your words to action. And I mean, so we appreciate that very much. I thought this conversation was going to go for 30 minutes and now we're up to the hour. And I think we could probably spend another 2 hours talking about this topic. But I don't think we will, because I know you guys have a lot going on. Let me just see if there's one more question here. We have a line of recycled biodegradable plastic utensils. Who should they contact?
Wayne, if you get the information forwarded on, I'll connect them with the right
All right,
folks.
I think that sounds reasonable. So we got 2 minutes. Let's just quick round robin, quick close. Tom, Thomas, what's the one thing the audience needs to know? What's the sound bite they want to leave with today?
I think I'm gonna leave them with progress, not perfection. Keep marching forward, and any change you can make it now.
Okay, Tom?
Keep accessibility in mind.
Okay, so Tom Crookham, Tom Hermes from Whole Foods Market, we sincerely appreciate the time today. We appreciate your leadership, your commitment to making the earth better, for all that you've done, for all that you're doing. Please consider ECRM Range Me as an ongoing resource for you. And with that, we want to thank you and have a great afternoon. And for the panelists, for the attendees, thank you for attending. And if you have not yet looked at our program for June, we welcome your participation. With that, thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.